Good afternoon. I'm Suzie Dills, and I'm the director of the Hoover Prize Planetarium at the William McKinley Presidential Library and Museum. This past Friday, we celebrated the 30th anniversary of the greatest scientific instrument, the Hubble Space Telescope. I want to share with you the incredible history and some of the best images of Hubble. So sit back and enjoy. The Hubble Space Telescope was named in honor of American astronomer Edwin Hubble. Hubble determined the universe extended beyond the Milky Way. And in 1923, while working at Mount Wilson Observatory, Hubble determined that Andromeda, originally considered a nebula, was a separate galaxy hundreds of thousands of miles away. He also found evidence that galaxies move away from each other at a constant rate, providing the foundation of the Big Bang theory. But Hubble's origins date back to 1946, 10 years before NASA was established. That year, astrophysicist Lyman Spitzer Jr. wrote a paper discussing the merits of a space-based observatory, unhindered by Earth's atmosphere, which can blur images. And then finally in 1977, U.S. Congress appropriated funds for the Hubble Space Telescope. And I just want to talk about some of the facts about Hubble before we get into the incredible images. Hubble is as large as a school bus, so approximately 45 feet, and weighs as much as 2 adult elephants, about 24,500 pounds. Hubble travels 5 miles per second or 17,000 miles per hour and orbits our planet Earth every 97 minutes. So that would be as fast as driving from the East Coast to the West Coast in 10 minutes. It has 2 25-foot solar panels, so it requires about 2,100 watts of power usage. And your hair dryer at home requires about 1,800 watts of power usage. And Hubble has seen light that existed 13.4 billion years ago. Hubble is a joint project between NASA and the European Space Agency. It orbits high above Earth's atmosphere at 340 miles, seeing space better than any Earth-based telescope. Hubble uses a digital camera and sends images back to Earth by using radio waves. And after being delayed by the 1986 Challenger disaster, Hubble launched aboard Space Shuttle Discovery on April 24, 1990. The next day, the shuttle's 5-person crew deployed the observatory in low Earth orbit. Unfortunately, Hubble was the first space-based telescope designed to be serviced and repaired in space. And there was 5 servicing missions, the final one in May of 2009. And the missions completely revamped the observatory. Hubble's onboard cameras only take photos in grayscale pixels, so astronomers make multiple exposures using different filters, typically red, blue, and green, to capture various wavelengths of light. These are overlaid to create a single color composite. Hubble's successor is the James Webb Telescope. Webb will look at the universe in infrared light. Hubble looks invisible and ultraviolet, and sometimes in infrared. Webb's mirror is much bigger, as you can see here in the picture, and will not require servicing. And it's expected to launch in March of 2021. And it will not orbit Earth, but it will sit at Earth-Sun L2 Lagrange point. That's about 1.5 million miles away. And here's a list of Hubble's top 10 scientific discoveries. Just to name a few, Hubble's studies of supernovas helped to show the existence of dark energy. It determined the age of the universe. And we got to see snapshots of the early universe via the Hubble Deep Field Survey. It discovered black holes in the heart of galaxies. The 1994 impacts of comet Shoemaker-Levy on Jupiter, and then the studies of planetary nebulae on how stars die. And now I want to share with you some of the incredible Hubble images. And it was very hard to select just a few because there is just an immense amount of fantastic images. So let's start off with Planetarium. An incredible image of Jupiter. This was taken back in June of 2019 when Jupiter was at opposition. So it was closer to planet Earth in its orbit around the sun. So at that time we can take some incredible images. You can see the detailed cloud pattern and look at our feature item there, the Great Red Spot. Courtesy of Hubble images, we have noticed changes in the Great Red Spot. So you can see starting in 1995, going through 2009, 2014, we can see those detailed images of the Great Red Spot and how it is changing over time. And in July of 1994, Hubble captured the comet fragment impacts from comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 on Jupiter. Some of those fragments were the size of planet Earth, but you can see the incredible detail there. Lovely planet Saturn, and this was taken once again in 2019, and this is when Saturn was at opposition. But look at the detail in the ring system. And this was a quadruple transit of Saturn's moons. And then this is a series of images taken over a span of a few days, but it just represents the great capabilities of Hubble. So Hubble, not only were we capturing this image of Saturn in visible light, but by using the ultraviolet capabilities, Hubble was able to capture these intense aurora on one of the poles of Saturn. So let's talk about stars and star clusters. And this is a star called Betelgeuse. It's a red supergiant star, 700 times the radius of our sun. And you can see by the scales here, look at the size of Earth's orbit compared to the size of that star. And then if we replaced our sun with Betelgeuse, it would reach all the way out to the orbit of Jupiter. And this was the first image of a star that we ever had besides our sun. This amazing photo is a picture of a star cluster called Omega Centauri. And what's incredible about this image is that it compares ultraviolet, visible, and infrared wavelengths. And this was taken courtesy of the Wide Field Camera 3 aboard Hubble. What an incredible photo. And here we have a globular star cluster. Globular star clusters could be up to 10 million stars that are orbiting each other. And what's great about Hubble, it can look into the core and see the detail of gravity and its effect. On to star life. This is the Orion Nebula, an interstellar cloud of dust and gas. It's one of the greatest celestial treasures in the night sky. This image is 520 Hubble exposures taken in multiple wavelengths of light. And in the center are 4 massive young stars that form the trapezium cluster. These stars were all born together. And this iconic image from 1995 is called the Pillars of Creation, a stellar nursery in visible light. Take a look at that left pillar. That pillar is 1 light year in height. And at the top of that pillar is where new stars are forming in that dense area. And these dense regions block the radiation wind from a nearby star cluster, and they create these pillars. Radiation was also taken in near-infrared light. And you can see in this image, the pillars are not solid, but shadows of dense regions due to the wind. And the infrared imaging passes through the gas and dust so we can see more stars. This is the Carina Nebula, a 300 million pixel image of a star-forming region. And we're going to focus in on a star cluster in the middle right of this image. That's where we'll find this incredible image of Mystic Mountain. And look at the top of the pillar. You can see the jets spewing out, indicating star formation. So you can kind of think about it like a birth announcement. Slides on other star-forming regions. And now star death. Here we have the Crab Nebula. This was an explosive result of a supermassive star that's life was over. And it's our most famous supernova nebula remnant. And what's really fascinating about this image is the crab pulsar at the center emits tremendous energy, heating the gas that causes it to glow. We also call it a pulsar wind nebula. And scientists think if it wasn't for the pulsar in the center, we may not see the remnants of this supernova. Here's the Butterfly Nebula. This star did not have an explosive end, but this star is extremely hot, 200,000 degrees. And all that material is being blown out from that extremely hot dying star. Nebula. And this is very similar to what will happen at the end of our sun's life. So you can see that star in the center. Just like our sun, at the end of its life, it expanded out and it released that shell of gas. And here's some images of other planetary nebula. Spirograph Nebula. Helix Nebula. The Bubble Nebula. Galaxies. This is called the Whirlpool Galaxy, a beautiful spiral galaxy. If you take a close look, you can see dark dust lanes that will be star-forming regions. The red dots represent star-forming regions, and the blue color represents hot, bright star clusters. And this image shows progress over time. Incredible. Here's the Sombrero Galaxy. It has an unusual central bulge and prominent dust lane, the site of star formation. Starburst Galaxy, you can see the stunning starburst ring encircling the galaxy's core. Galaxy images. Galaxy collisions and mergers. And this is the Antennae Galaxy. It's a merged galaxy. So if we look into the core, we see red regions where stars are forming. And these are called super-star clusters. And those happen when two galaxies merge. The Tadpole Galaxy. It was disrupted by collisions, and you can see star formation through the tail. Merges and collisions. And this is called Stephan's Quintet, the first compact galaxy group ever discovered. And to finish off, this is the Hubble Ultra Deep Field. And Hubble can look at the same part of space for a very long period of time. And in this image, we have about 10,000 galaxies. But it represents the spiral galaxy development over time. So when you look at this image, you'll see different colors, you'll see different formations, and that tells us so much about the development over time. So when looking at these images, if we start off in the bottom image there, present to 3 billion years ago, those are the galaxies that how we normally see a galaxy. But looking closely, there's galaxies 3 to 7 billion years ago, and you can see they're just beginning to get structure but not fully formed. And then looking further back in time, 7 to 10 billion years ago, and the structure is just beginning. So within the deep field image, we were seeing all the way back in time. And I want to thank you for coming along on this out of this world adventure.